By the year 1402, the Ottoman Empire was a rising storm. Its ruler, Sultan Bayezid I, had earned a fearsome nickname, Yildirim, the Thunderbolt. The name fit him perfectly. Bayezid moved his armies with terrifying speed, striking enemies before they could prepare. Within a decade, he had crushed a crusader army at Nicopolis, absorbed rival Turkish principalities across Anatolia, and laid siege to Constantinople itself, squeezing the last breath out of the dying Byzantine Empire. Bayezid believed he was building something permanent, a unified Muslim empire stretching from the Balkans to the heart of Asia Minor. He had swallowed up smaller Anatolian Beyliks, Turkish emirates that had once been independent, forcing their rulers into submission or exile. Some of those displaced princes fled east, looking for anyone powerful enough to challenge the Sultan. They found him in a war tent in Central Asia. His name was Timur, known in the West as Tamerlane. Born in what is now Uzbekistan, Timur had spent 30 years carving out one of the bloodiest and most extensive empires in history, from India to the Caucasus. He claimed descent from Genghis Khan and modeled himself as a restorer of the Mongol legacy. Timur was not a man who tolerated rivals, and he was not a man Bayezid should have provoked. The two rulers exchanged letters dripping with insult. Bayezid mocked Timur's age and lineage. Timur reminded Bayezid that his empire was young, his lineage common, and his arrogance unwise. Diplomacy failed, war became inevitable, and in the summer of 1402, two of the largest armies in the world marched toward a dusty plain outside the city of Ankara. Timur's army was staggering in scale. Estimates suggest well over 100,000 men, though exact numbers are debated by historians. It included Mongol and Turkic cavalry, war elephants brought from his campaigns in India, and seasoned commanders who had never lost a major battle under his banner. Timur was also a master of psychological warfare. Before the battle, he diverted the water supply near Ankara, denying Bayezid's forces fresh water in the summer heat. Bayezid's army was formidable too, but it carried a hidden weakness. A large portion of his cavalry was made up of Anatolian Turkish troops from the very Beyliks he had recently conquered. These men served the Sultan out of obligation, not loyalty. Many secretly resented him for stripping their former rulers of power. Bayezid also had loyal Serbian Christian cavalry under Stefan Lazarević, along with his elite Janissary infantry. But the cracks in his coalition were about to show at the worst possible moment. On July 20, 1402, the two armies met on the plain of Ankara. The battle began with intense fighting, and initially the Ottoman lines held. But as Timur's forces pressed, something devastating happened. Many of the Anatolian Turkish contingents fighting for Bayezid defected mid-battle, switching sides to join Timur's army. It was a betrayal born from years of resentment, and it shattered the Ottoman formation from within. Bayezid's Serbian cavalry and janissaries fought on with desperate loyalty, refusing to break even as the battle turned hopeless. But numbers and momentum were now overwhelmingly against them. The Ottoman lines collapsed. Bayezid, refusing to flee, kept fighting until he was surrounded and captured, an almost unthinkable outcome for a sultan who had never lost a major battle before. The capture of Bayezid I sent shockwaves through the Islamic and Christian worlds alike. For the first time, an Ottoman sultan was a prisoner of a foreign conqueror. Timur treated him with a strange mixture of respect and humiliation. Accounts differ on details, and later European legends exaggerated the story, most famously the myth that Bayezid was caged like an animal and paraded around. Most modern historians consider the iron cage story a dramatic embellishment, though Bayezid was certainly held captive and treated as a trophy of war. Bayezid never regained his freedom. He died in captivity in March 1403, only months after the battle, reportedly from illness or despair. His death left the Ottoman Empire without a clear ruler, and the union he had spent his reign building collapsed almost overnight. What followed was one of the strangest chapters in Ottoman history, the Ottoman Interregnum, an 11-year civil war between Bayezid's surviving sons, Suleiman, Isa, Mehmed, and Musa, each claiming the throne and fighting brutally for control. The empire fractured into competing factions, and for a moment it looked as though the Ottoman project might collapse entirely, decades before it could conquer Constantinople. Timur, for his part, did not stay to finish the Ottomans off. After Ankara, he turned his massive army back east, continuing his campaigns toward China, where he died in 1405 before completing that invasion. Historians still debate why he didn't press his advantage further into Ottoman lands. Some suggest he saw the Ottomans as a spent threat, not worth the cost of full conquest. It would have been reasonable, in 1402, to assume the Ottoman story was over. A humiliated, captured sultan, a shattered army, a decade of brothers slaughtering each other for the throne. Most empires do not survive this kind of blow. But the Ottomans did. In 1413, after years of civil war, Bayezid's son Mehmed I emerged victorious, reunifying the fractured state. He spent his reign rebuilding what Ankara had destroyed, restoring administration, rebuilding the army, and repairing relationships with vassals who had scattered during the interregnum. His son, Murad II, continued the recovery, and by the time Murad's son Mehmed II came to power, the Ottoman Empire was strong enough to do what Bayezid never managed. In 1453, Mehmed II conquered Constantinople, ending the Byzantine Empire for good. The Battle of Ankara is a reminder that history rarely moves in straight lines. A single defeat, however catastrophic, does not always mean the end. The Ottomans lost their sultan, their unity, and nearly their entire empire in a single afternoon outside Ankara. Yet within 50 years, they built one of the most powerful empires the world had ever seen. Timur's victory was total, but it was also temporary. He broke the Ottoman Empire in 1402. He just didn't manage to keep it broken.